the track is holding together good enough to give him a full pull. It may hold together for the rest of the competitors. There's Belle Blosser backing up, ready to hook up for her pull. Now you see the white light. That tells you that everything's in neutral right now. The safety wire is hooked up, the chain is hooked up, and we're ready to go.
They hand push the mini rod forward to take the slack out of the chain. Here is Belle Blosser from Stanley, Virginia, a hillbilly and darn proud of it in the Hillbilly Shaker. And does she have a task? She's got to make a full pull as she possibly can.
That started off a little slow, but now with an awful lot of power, and is all over the course. Well, I wonder if she can save this one. Over to the left, drifts back to the right, but she's still going. This is a good run.
This is incredible. Listen to the crowd. She was sideways. Everything went wrong that could go wrong, but that big supercharged Hemi performed for her, and she will go into a pull-off of a pull-off.
Steering that machine with the power and traction of the rear tires.
The forward speed of the mini rods may only be about 25, 30 miles an hour, but the wheel speed is 140 miles an hour or better. So they spend a lot of time maintaining these high revving engines, but they spend more time on tire maintenance than anything else, because unlike the four-wheel drive trucks who can buy specially built competition tires, the mini rods still rely on a tractor tire that starts out with lugs this high. They have to grind all of that down. It's very time consuming. You can spend 15 hours just getting a set of tires ready for competition like we're seeing today. Now, some of the competition, including driver Scott Amy, who we saw at the top of the show, have tried a new lug design. Now, this is not it. This is standard. He has changed the lug design more radically to try to throw the dirt out away from the front of the sled, so he's not pushing the dirt that he himself dug up. Be interesting to see if it works. The tires, they're absolutely critical. The man with the best set probably wins.
Well, Scott is currently 5th in this pull-off, and we are already faced with a pull-off of the pull-off. Boy, this little division is really creating some excitement.
And the final puller is Ronald Baker in the Equalizer out of Lewisburg, Ohio. And I'm sure Ron was as amazed at the pull of Belle Blosser as we all were. That was just unbelievable. In fact, Pat Patterson is with her.
Nice to see that smile. You got exactly what you wanted out of the pass.
Right.
What adjustment did you make, Belle, in between the two pulls?
Just checked the air in the tires and left the weight just like it was. It was a little light first time.
Front wheels never moved. They were right there the whole way through that pass.
Yeah, they should have come up just a little bit, but I'd rather leave them down than have them come up too far.
Maybe some championship style in that particular pass, huh?
I'd like to think so.
Good run.
Thank you.
Well, not many changes for Belle. I wonder what she'll do now, because she will have to run again against Glenn Gunther in the pull-off. And let's see if this man can get into the pull-off as well. This is Ronald Baker. The machine is the Equalizer. If he wants to stay in competition, he's going to have to make a full pull.
And he knows that. You can bet on it, Paul. In fact, he's taking a little extra time concentrating. Now he gets with the power. Not much early wheel speed. Here comes the buck. Oh, he is crossed up first to the right, now to the left. Doing a good job of steering, but the engine lets go. Oh, boy, did it let go.
That grenaded big time. You suddenly saw a pop at the bottom, and look at the oil pour out there. He was driving it, though. Until the engine let go, he was still trying to recover and doing a pretty fair job of it, but only 238.5 feet for Ron Baker, and what probably amounts to some fairly expensive repair.
That's right. That'll be a big bite out of Ron Baker's racing budget. Now, he got in trouble. Well, let's see it right here. First, the thing moved to the right, and remember, they have independent rear brakes like an agricultural tractor. And if the driver doesn't react quick enough, he gets behind the motion of the machine, and it's very difficult to catch up with it. That's what happened to Ronald, anyway.
And then as he drifted back and forth, there was just too much stress on the engine. And all of a sudden, something popped through the bottom of the pan, and there it is. And out came all of the oil. You can see a couple of pieces bouncing away. That's probably a couple $100.
Maybe a couple of $1,000. Okay, let's take a look at the leaderboard. It is Glenn Gunther with a full pull. Belle Blosser matched him with a spectacular full pull, followed by Coaster, Baker, and Vandertook. The only two that will continue in competition, of course, Gunther and Blosser. And when that happens, they'll be pulling a heavier sled. Well, I don't have to tell anybody what's coming up next. Monster truck action. We'll have it for you here in the Astrodome when we come back to the TNT All-American. Stay with us. This should be great.
ready in the Houston Astrodome for the semifinals of the monster trucks. The Equalizer sits over in the far lane. The Carolina Crusher here on the near side. This should be a really terrific matchup.
That's right. In round number 2, we saw earlier both drivers, both trucks perform flawlessly.
Gary Porter in the Carolina Crusher. It'll be David Morris in the Equalizer. The revs begin to come up now as the Equalizer finds the starting position that he wants, rolls back, and then forward.
As the competition becomes more equal, the start becomes more important. We have seen 2 races so far tonight where the start paid off at the finish with a victory. Carolina Crusher dropping it down in gear. They use automatic transmissions in these trucks. At one time, they were fairly simple to drive. You kind of took off in a straight line and crushed the cars, and the promoter gave you some money, and you went to the next place. You got to be a real race truck driver now to get the job done.
Equalizer got a great start there. The Crusher drifted out toward the line, but he got it under control. The rear wheel steer so important on this tight course here at the Astrodome, and the Crusher now begins to pull away. Something went wrong, I think, on the Equalizer. The Crusher takes the win and goes to the final.
Well, the Equalizer, Paul, has been disqualified at the turn for crossing the center line. So the win goes to the Carolina Crusher.
Let's take a look at that again. The Equalizer up in the air with a nice start, a nice hole shot, came down a little askew. Boy, he took a whale of a bounce there. Now they're coming to the turn at the far end. And take a look at the Equalizer on the left-hand side of your screen as he comes over, and yep, you bet you're right, Steve. He got across that line, and when you do that, the game is over. The Carolina Crusher's the winner. Now here, though, take a look at the Carolina Crusher, because as he comes to the final jump, way up in the air, of course, at this point, he doesn't know that the Equalizer is already disqualified.
But that is a textbook leap to the finish line, and he lands flat. Not nose down, not tail down, and that's exactly what it takes to have a good competitive run. And Gary Porter just gave everybody a driving lesson there.
Well, Gary, it gets better, and it gets better, and it gets better, and you're going to the finals here at the Astrodome.
It is. I've been chasing Equalizer all last year. He beat me in the point, and I'm going for him this year. I'm going to try to win the points championship, put him away.
Good, smooth start. Seemed like the truck stayed right in place over the cars. A great hit there coming back to the finish line. Just a good, consistent run.
It seems to be the truck seems to be cornering good and everything. Coming off the second set of cars, I'm bouncing a little bit, but the race is over, so who cares?
Now, who will he face? Will it be the Nightlife 2, Dave Wazorek, or King Crutch, driven by Scott Stevens?
Boy, is that a gorgeous color on Nightlife 2, Paul. Ooh, a candy apple something.
I tell you what, we have 2 beautiful machines coming up here. These are just gorgeous. I love the Crunch. Now, as you can imagine, you don't drive these things to and from the races. You got to put them in a trailer, but they don't necessarily fit.
The only thing harder than getting a monster truck like King Crunch around a tight circuit like the one on the Astrodome floor is getting King Crunch from the Astrodome to Salt Lake City, Utah, its next stop on the tour. Now, understand that with these big wheels and tires, King Crunch doesn't fit in that trailer. So it takes about a half a dozen guys when the show is over to remove 48 lug nuts using this great big 4-ton jack. Then when they load it, it really looks silly because it's got the little bitty trailer rubber on it. It's not a pretty picture. Kind of ruins the whole illusion of what a monster truck should look like. Now, what happens to the big wheels and tires? They come in that door that I just came in and obviously are jammed right against the wall here. Witness the big rubber circles. All in all, there's a lot of work involved in moving this group around.
Well, right now, they look exactly like they should. There is the King Crunch. This is the second fight in the semifinal round to determine who will come up against the Crusher.
And anybody who thinks they run these engines easy just saw how lean they can get. By the time they reach the semifinals, they're making an awful lot of horsepower, and the drivers, Paul, have to be physically fit. You'll notice none of these guys is anything but lean and hard because they take a tremendous beating inside these things.
And just because the motor isn't visible there, don't think that they aren't making a lot of horsepower. It takes a lot to kick these machines up in the air. We've got a dead even start.
Absolutely. No advantage coming into the turn. It's a beautiful turn, but it is Nightlife 2 that got straightened out quicker, and then suddenly had some steering problem, and King Crunch, if he can stay on the course, will win it. Yes, King Crunch will go to the final.